Okay, so this video is going to show you the basics of TinkerCAD and how to create a dice project using TinkerCAD. And this will show you all the basic elements in TinkerCAD and how you can use the software to create designs. So what I'll show you how to do is create this little dice piece here. These are some other designs I've done with TinkerCAD. But first what you want to do is you want to go to Create. So you've got Create right here and you click on that and you need to go 3D Design. And this is where we do all our 3D designs in TinkerCAD. So if I click on that one, this is what's going to come up. So this is what first comes up when you open up TinkerCAD in 3D design. And you can see that this is the work plane right here, and when you right click on your mouse you can actually look around from different angles and you can just move it like this. Now what you got over here is you got different shapes. It says basic shapes right here. If you click this down, you've got other things you can do. You've got design starters. So you've got a whole bunch of stuff you can just drop right in there and start editing yourself and playing around with. But what we're going to do is look at how to create a dice piece using TinkerCAD. So this will show you how to cut holes in shapes, and it will show you how to just use basics of the software. So I've got a little box right here that could be our cube for our dice. So let's click on that one and get that. So you can see when I click on it, I've got it right here, and this is what comes up in my work plane. Now something else you can do is fiddle with the sizes, the dimensions. If you look on this right here, when I click on this right here, it says this is 20 millimeters by 20 millimeters, and that's actually the size I want my dice to be anyway, so I'm going to leave it as 20 by 20. However, what you can do if you wanted to, you could also edit it to make it maybe 30 by 30. And then you'd also need to do the height as well. So we've got lengths, widths and height. So lengths, widths and then height, this one right here. And you could actually change that to 30 if you wanted to. I'm going to keep it at 20. So remember this one right here. And you can change the lengths to 20, the widths to 20. And then you want to also change the height, and you want it to be a nice cube. So a nice square cube. It's 20 by 20 by 20. So this is what I've got right here. So now I want to create a dice from this. So how I do this is that I need to get one of these shapes right here. Now the shape I'm going to get is the cylinder shape. So if I click on the cylinder, and let's say I want to do my one first, and let's do the one on top. So if I want to do my one first, I get the cylinder, and I put it on top right here. And I just click on it, and now I've got the cylinder on top. And you'll notice it's actually on hole at the moment. So that means it's going to be a hole, it's not going to be a solid. That's solid. So that means it's an actual solid shape. This is a hole. So if I have this one, that's not, it's going to cut something inside of it when I put it in the right position. So what I can do now is using the dimensions again. I've got, this says it's 20 by 20. I don't want it to be 20 by 20. I want to make it probably, I don't know actually, maybe 3 by 3 possibly. So maybe 3 by 3. Then I also want to change the height as well. Maybe let's make it 3 by 3 by 3. So that's this nice little cylinder right there. That is 3 by 3. But I also need to drag it into place. So I can now click on it and drag it where I want to drag it. So drag it roughly in the center. It doesn't have to be perfect, just probably somewhere around the center. So I reckon that's probably good enough. That's probably about the center right there. And what I need to do is now put it inside of the shape. So how I do this is I've got this little black triangle right here. I can actually drag that up, down, wherever, drag it up or down. And I want to drag it inside the shape and just put it in like that. So now that's inside the shape, it's just sitting right on top. And what I can do now is I can actually highlight all of it. So if I just click and highlight the whole thing and now press group. So this is group right here, this one here. Or you can go Control G. I will just press on group here. It will make it, it will cut the hole inside of it. So now I've got a nice little hole inside of it for my 1. Now let's say I want to do my 4 now. So let's get another cylinder for our 4. And we need 4 cylinders of course, but I'll start off with just doing 1. So if I get that, you can see it's asking me, it's not asking me, but I can click on which plane which surface I want to do my cylinder on. So if I click on this one, if I click on this one, if I click on this one, of course I'm going to do my 4 on this one right here. So if I click there, like this, I need to change it to 3 by 3, just like the other one. So make it consistent throughout the whole thing. So that's 3 by 3, and now I can change the size to also 3. Now, what I've got is a nice little cylinder that's 3 by 3 by 3, and I can just drag this over here. Drag it where I want to drag it, so probably about there perhaps. If I don't like it, I can move it later. And now if I look on the side, I've got that nice little triangle here again, and I can drag that inside the shape, so roughly about there. Now what I can do, instead of doing that all over again, I can just click on this. I can just click on the cylinder. I can just click back on the cylinder and press Control C, Control V, and just copy it just like that. So now I've just copied that cylinder again, and I can drag that one over this way. Drag it over this way to roughly where I want to position it. Just like that. And now I can move that inside, just like that. Now you'll notice the black bit is on top now. So that means that I can move it like this or like this. And I can move this, if I move it this way or this way, it's going to, I can't move it down, I can only move it this way or this way. I can only move it to the side or back, or I can't move it down. So there we go, that's inside now. So if I Control C this one, Control C and then Control V, I've got another one, and what I want to do is this one. Whoops. And if you mess up, if you accidentally press the wrong thing, you can just Control, so if I do this, I can just go Control Z and put it back where I want to put it. So let me get this again. Okay, there we go, clicked on that. And now what I can do is I can use this little triangle right here and drag that down like this and put it roughly in the position I want to put it in. Now, if I just move this over, that's not what I wanted to do. If I just move this over to roughly where I want it to be, just like that. If I want to move this one over, I can as well. Just trying to figure out the positioning of all of the, there we go, something like that. So if I click on this one now and go Control V, Control V again, so Control C and then Control V, so copying and pasting it, and then I can find that little arrow here and drag that down to roughly the same spot as the other one. Now what I can do is I can move this inside the shape, just like that. So just dragging it inside the shape, and now I've got 4 holes right here. They're on the hole. I can now it might not be perfect. Actually, I don't think it is perfect, but that's alright. I don't know, that's fine. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. It can be a bit dodgy, I guess. You can also play around with these numbers right here. Maybe instead of 1, we could go 0.5 and just move it down 0.5. So I could play around with this until I get it perfect, but once I get it roughly how I want it to be, I can then go back on, make sure these are all holes, which they are. Make sure they're inside of the piece like they are. Okay, good. I can now click, drag and highlight all of this and then press group. And now I've got 4 holes in my dice, 4 holes in my dice for my number 4. So I've got my 1 and then I've got my 4 over here. Now if I want to do my 2 or my 3 or whatever I want to do next, I can click over here like this. I can then go in here and go 3 by 3 again. So now I've got another little hole that is 3 by 3 by 3, and I can just drag that in place. So drag that in roughly in the spot you want it to go, and then I can put it inside of it, just like that. And then I think that looks alright. I could probably go down a little bit more, but that's alright. Now if I Control C this, then Control V, I can now drag this along this way, and then move this down to roughly where I want it to position it to. Somewhere around there. And then I can highlight the whole thing again. They're all inside of it, good. And then group again. And you can see how I'm doing this now. I'm pretty sure this should make sense, hopefully. If I keep on going, I can keep on going and then making all my other pieces. So I just did the 2, I did the 4, and I did the 1. So now I'll probably do the 5 over here and then the 3 over here. and then a 6 on the bottom, and then just positioning all where they need to go. So that's how you do the dice in TinkerCAD. I don't think I need to show you doing all of them, but when you finish, you've also got save up here, so I can change the name of this and I can call it dice project. And I can click out of it, and now it's saved as dice project. So if I go back into my dashboard, it's going to be saved into there. So the dice project I was just working on, this one's the one I was just working on. This is the one that I did a few days ago. So I'll show you what it looks like when it's complete. Okay. So this is what it looks like when it's complete. It's a nice little dice project just like this. So that shows you the basics of TinkerCAD. Now, what I want to do next is probably export it as an STL file, and I will go through how to 3D print it in another video, but that's pretty much how you use TinkerCAD to make designs. But if I go export and go STL, I can create an STL file, which is how I'll now 3D print the product. I'll put it in a slicer, and then I can send it to the 3D printer. So another thing you can do with this is you can actually look at different perspectives. So if I get this right here, I can look at it from the top. If I click on the top, I can look at it from the back. I can look at it from an isometric view, from an orthographic projection. If I click on this right there, that's now looking at it as an orthographic projection. There it is, orthographic projection, just like that. Now if I wanted a picture of my design, if I wanted just a JPEG of my design of the orthographic projection, I can actually go to send to, and I can go picture of my design. So I've got it in my orthographic projection, send to, and I can get a picture of my design. There we go, dice project PNG. If I click on that, I've now got a nice little orthographic projection of my dice project. So the way we can create other designs in TinkerCAD, say I wanted to create something like this toy project right here, what you can do is you can go to create, go 3D designs, and I can just play around with what I have. I'll just wait for that to load up. Okay, so this is what I've got. If I wanted to play around with maybe make my own kind of design, I could get my square maybe, perhaps. It's up to what you want to make, but yeah, maybe get my square, maybe do what I want to do with it, 40 perhaps. And then maybe, I don't know, oh, that's a bit big. You can play around with the measurements and just whatever you want to create. I'm not sure what I'm creating at the moment. I'm just playing around with measurements at the moment. I have no idea what I'm doing. 25, maybe make that 15, for example. So maybe you want to like a square like this, and maybe you want to make some eyes perhaps. So maybe you want to make like a little toy kind of thing, maybe a game piece or a toy or whatever it is. So I could do this. You can change the sizes. This is 20, so if I go 10, and I can drag that up to roughly where I want to put it, and then maybe put it inside like this. So now this is inside of it. If I Control C, Control V that, so maybe I want a second one. Yeah, maybe I'm happy with that, something like that, and I want to then highlight it, then group it, and then I've got these inside of that like that as a group. So now whatever I do now, that's grouped in with that now, and that can't change. So now let's say I want to do something else now. Maybe I want to add maybe a mouse or something, or whatever I want to do with it. Depends on what you want to do, what you want to make. You could maybe put a little triangle on top for some reason. I don't know why you'd want to, but why not? You could actually, also something else you could do is you can go into this little search right here, and you could search something up. Maybe I want a hat. If I type in hat, and I look down, maybe see what I've got here. Oh yeah, I've got a few hats here, so maybe I could click on that one, drag it out, and now I could put it roughly to how big I want it to be. So you can play around with it. You don't have to put dimensions in, you can just drag it until you're happy with how big it is. So something like that perhaps. Maybe something like that. Maybe I'm happy with that. A nice little hat on top. Yep, okay, good. Group, there we go. Now I've got a nice little hat on top for my little person here. Maybe I want to add legs to it perhaps. Maybe if I type in legs, see what comes up. You never know. There you go, maybe, oh yeah, so it gives me these kind of foots here, these legs, blue legs. If I want to maybe add that, well, that came up really small, didn't it? Yeah, so you can just play around with this. So if I get this and raise it up, and then play around with this, so it's very small for some reason, I don't know why it came up that small. There we go, make it a bit bigger, and I can maybe add a leg to it, perhaps, a little foot. Now I can put it in place, make it bigger, as big as you want it to make it. And you can see how I'm just playing around with this and just making what I want to make. Now you can do this, you don't have to make this kind of thing, you can make whatever you want to make. So if I get that back up there, put it down. You can see how I've just added a nice little kind of leg in there. That was really quick, I could make it better than that, but that was just me really quickly doing something. Like I said, you could add other things into this and then you can create a nice little kind of game piece or little man or little toy or whatever you want to call it. And if I go back into TinkerCAD, I can show you the one that I created a few days ago when I was just playing around with the software myself. So the one I created a few days ago is this one right here. And I was just playing around with the software. There we are. And this is what I made a few days ago, just playing around with the software. Now what you could also do with TinkerCAD, that's some of the basics you can do with TinkerCAD. You can also do some other stuff. I've got a little house that I created here. I've got a name tag that I created here. That's another thing you can do. You can you can use text as well in TinkerCAD. So if I wanted to say so if I go 3D design and create something, maybe if I want to make a keychain with my name on it, I can get maybe another box again, because why not? Put it how big I want to make it. So maybe I want to make like a flat kind of piece like that. Maybe I want a flat piece just like that, and now I want to make maybe I want a cylinder on the side of it. Make it down roughly around there. Good, and now I could maybe want it inside a little bit more. Highlight it. Maybe I'm happy with that, group that. Now I've got a nice little bit that comes off here, and now maybe I want to make a hole. Maybe I want to make a keychain, so I can make a hole. I can make the hole how big I want to make the hole. I don't know how big I want to make it exactly, but however big you want to make it, that's all good. Roughly in the center, and then I could just highlight that and then group it, and now I've got a nice little hole in my piece right here. So if I want to do text, what I can do is I can go to search and I can actually go text, and it will come up with all these text options. So maybe I want to take this one and put it on top here, and now I can write whatever I want to write for my text. So maybe if I write Mr. Osborne, this is what I've got. Now I can make it course smaller because this is way too big. So, well, okay, that's in the way. There we go. If I want to make it smaller, put it where I want to put it. So maybe somewhere like that. I can make it longer until I'm happy with it. Okay, I can make it shorter. And then put it roughly how I want to put it, just like that. Perhaps I'm happy with that. I can then highlight it over and then group it, and then it will be a nice little keychain. So now if I save this as an STL, I could print this, and then I could just put it on like my keychain, or maybe do something else with it. I don't know what you want to do with it, but yeah. So that was just me showing you how you can use text with TinkerCAD. Hopefully this was a helpful tutorial on how to use basics of TinkerCAD. Yeah, brilliant.